iron coulters and heavy forehammers splintering the wet timber postern door of Carlisle Castle in midnight rain define the Debatable Lands Border Reivers history during the Anglo-Scottish border wars. Beyond these fortress walls, survival relies on a peel tower, iron yet hot trod defense across 30 square miles of stateless marsh. Here, the word blackmail originates in the Debatable Lands as a protection racket where farmers pay cartel families in cattle to avoid night raids. Yet no crown can subdue this sanctuary before blood spills across the border. In 1237, the Treaty of York establishes a national border from the Tweed to Solway Firth, yet leaves the southwestern bogs completely unmapped. Joint perambulation records from 1249 show 48 sworn knights abandoning boundary efforts after Scottish panels threatened physical violence. Neither London nor Edinburgh claims this disputed territory, fearing immediate foreign war. Consequently, royal sheriffs vanish, courts collapse, and a sovereign legal vacuum emerges, transforming 30 square miles into an ungovernable haven for desperate outlaws. Both monarchies deliberately abandon this frontier, transforming the marsh into a cost-free military buffer against foreign invasion. Crossing this swamp forces royal armies to face ruthless irregulars like William Armstrong of Kinmont, known as Kinmont Willie, who rides through Solway moss in a rusted iron breastplate. Kinmont Willie believes that survival demands total independence from distant kings who refuse to govern. As royal treasuries save gold by avoiding garrisons, frontier dwellers forge an unwritten law written in steel, horseflesh, and burning peat. Patrilineal surnames replace the state, turning bloodlines into armed criminal syndicates across Liddesdale. The Armstrong cartel mobilizes 3,000 fully armored light cavalrymen, while the Graham family fortifies stone bases at Kirkandrews, Netherby, and Morton. Alongside the Elliots and Nixons, these family syndicates convert stolen livestock into permanent stone landholdings, ignoring distant English and Scottish march wardens. Royal authorities watch helplessly as these riding families command the river passages, creating a self-governing criminal order that systematically defies both English and Scottish crowns. Royal authorities assume that border outlaws are unorganized brigands easily intimidated by crown decrees, but Kinmont Willie commands a disciplined strike force capable of riding 30 miles in total darkness. Operating under autumn moons, his light cavalry moves silently through treacherous bogs on nimble Galloway horses. Crown wardens wrongly believe that distance and stone castle walls guarantee absolute immunity against frontier retaliation. That fatal assumption crumbles when Kinmont Willie turns his sights on the richest pastures, setting off an explosive chain reaction. Every sunset brings the terror of swift cross-border raids under the dark skies of the River Moon. Farmers hear the muffled thunder of hooves through cold river mist before flames consume timber barns and fields. Families sleep with loaded wheel-lock dags and pricker spears beside their beds, knowing no royal officer will arrive to defend them. To survive this relentless cycle of nocturnal violence, homesteaders must abandon traditional wooden homes and construct radical defensive architecture built purely from solid stone and iron. A Reiver rides a Galloway pony, a hardy regional breed engineered to navigate deep peat mosses where heavy warhorses sink and drown. Clad in a steel bonnet skullcap and a jack of plate leather doublet lined with iron scales, the raider carries a light pricker lance and double-edged basket-hilted sword. Royal armies wearing heavy plate armor cannot pursue these swift horsemen into the damp, dark bogs of Solway. This tactical asymmetry grants frontier syndicates total operational superiority over formal military forces. Customary march law grants crime victims the official right of hot trod pursuit across the international boundary line within 6 days of a cattle theft. Statutory march law indentures require hot trod pursuers to ride with sleuth hounds, sound hunting horns, and carry smoldering peat on a raised spear. If these strict statutory rituals are followed, pursuers can execute court raiders on the spot. Neglecting a single ritual instantly transforms the pursuers into illegal raiders, triggering immediate summary retaliation from local clans. Massive ashlar walls exceeding 6 feet in thickness make the peel tower an impenetrable vertical survival engine against destructive night assaults. The ground floor consists of a barrel-vaulted stone chamber with 0 exterior windows or low doors. During sudden raids, families drive valuable livestock directly into this stone vault to prevent attackers from driving them off or setting them ablaze. Defenders retreat up removable timber ladders to upper battlements, dropping heavy stones through machicolations onto helpless raiders below. Living directly above cattle and horses turns a domestic tower into a functional fortress while insulating living quarters against freezing damp winds. This ground-level survival strategy marks a crucial chapter in the Debatable Lands Border Reivers history, where animal heat rises to warm human quarters above. Every structural design serves to protect the livestock that fuels the blackmail protection economy. Yet even 6-foot stone walls remain vulnerable if raiders manage to breach the primary ground entrance with heavy iron tools. A heavy, wrought iron yet guards the narrow tower entrance, featuring thick vertical and horizontal bars passing directly through one another in an interlocking weave. Unlike wooden doors reinforced with iron bands, this indestructible lattice gate cannot be split with heavy battle axes, pried with iron crowbars, or destroyed by fire. Rain glistens on the cold iron yet as cattle bellow on flagstone floors inside. This compact structural innovation thwarts entire siege attempts, forcing frustrated attackers to retreat empty-handed into the foggy night. Monarchs in London and Edinburgh demand national allegiance, yet frontier residents owe total loyalty only to their shared patrilineal surname. This surround sound family loyalty binds every Armstrong, Graham, and Elliot to defend kin unconditionally, regardless of royal decrees or personal guilt. A borderer who betrays his surname faces immediate execution, house burning, and complete social erasure. Strategic survival depends on blood ties rather than kingdom borders, creating a closed clan culture that treats English and Scottish royal officers as hostile foreign invaders. A single night raid can net 400 head of cattle, transferring massive wealth across river borders in hours. In a stateless economy lacking minted coin or sovereign banks, stolen livestock serves as primary currency, collateral, and geopolitical leverage. Surnames trade seized herds to purchase steel helmets, wheel-lock pistols, and imported French wine. By controlling cattle movement across the Esk and Little River basins, riding cartels dominate regional trade and render formal royal taxation completely impossible across the entire frontier. To formalize this predatory economy, dominant surnames force smaller tenants across Cumberland and Dumfriesshire to pay systematic protection money known as blackmail. Derived from Scots tribute payments, farmers pay blackmail in livestock or silver to guarantee cartel protection against rival raiders. Paying this tribute binds the cartel to deploy swift light cavalry to recover any stolen property. This protection racket operates as the region's sole effective insurance policy, generating immense revenue while proving state protection completely non-existent. Extraordinary parliamentary acts of outlawry in 1537 declare every resident of the Debatable Lands an outlaw free to be robbed, burned, or murdered without legal penalty. Monthly days of truce bring march wardens together at river crossings, but summary justice prevails through drownings, hangings, and hand-stilling mutilations. When English Deputy Warden Salkeld illegally snatches Kinmont Willie during a sacred truce in March 1596, he sparks a diplomatic explosion that threatens to plunge two kingdoms into open war. Lord Scrope chains Kinmont Willie in the deepest dungeon of Carlisle Castle, refusing all diplomatic demands for his release. Sir Walter Scott of Buccleuch, Keeper of Liddesdale, gathers 80 hand-picked horsemen at Morton Tower on a foggy April night in 1596. Carrying wooden scaling ladders, crowbars, and iron coulters, the Scots ride through Solway Mist and cross the swollen River Eden. Arriving at Carlisle, they find their scaling ladders far too short as the legs sink into deep rain-soaked mud. Buccleuch pivots instantly, using iron coulters and sledgehammers to shatter the castle postern door and liberate Kinmont Willie without losing a single man. Red Rowan carries Kinmont shoulder high across the river ford with iron shackles ringing loudly against stone. Queen Elizabeth I demands Buccleuch's execution, but her death in 1603 alters history forever. When King James VI of Scotland ascends the English throne as James I, the international border and its legal vacuum vanish in a single day. How did King James I systematically erase the Debatable Lands Border Reivers history during the Great Pacification of 1603? The new British monarch renames the frontier the Middle Shires and unleashes Sir William Cranston with absolute military authority. Cranston institutes Jeddah justice, hanging suspects first and conducting trials afterward. Peel towers are blown up, iron yets are melted into plowshares, bloodhounds track fugitives through Solway bogs, and riding surnames are banned under pain of death. By 1610, forced deportations clear the Graham and Armstrong cartels, shipping hundreds of families to the plantation of Ulster. The Scots Dyke earthwork cuts through quiet pastures, permanently marking the divided landscape where stateless anarchy once reigned. Kinmont Willie vanishes into local legend, while displaced border families bring their fierce independence to the Ulster plantation. These resilient border surnames soon cross the Atlantic to reshape the violent Appalachian frontier of the New World. Our next documentary explores how these border surnames fought for survival during the bloody Ulster plantation. Subscribe to the channel now so you never miss an episode of forgotten political history. If you are watching on a television, scan the QR code on your screen right now to join our community and explore deeper historical archives.